the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
But what makes the Lobos a top 25 hoops team this year?
So for people who didn't get to watch them last year, they had these two mid-range mercenaries that I adored, still do. Jamal Mashburn and Jalen House. Both have actually been injured for significant parts of the season. Mashburn's missed 7 games. House has missed 5. So they've kind of had patchwork lineups. Like they have a Texas A&M Corpus Christi transfer who's been in and out. Jamarl Baker has been missing some games. Quentin Webb, a freshman who's been really good, has missed some games. They have not really been fully healthy at all this year, and yet they're 18-4, top 20 in KenPom. The reason why I think they are such a threat this year compared to last, they nailed, like capital N nailed, their portal additions and their recruiting work. Nelly Jr. Joseph was on Iona's roster last year, played quite well in the round of 64 against UConn, held up fairly decently. He's been their center this year, really high block rate, terrific at avoiding fouls and getting to the foul line himself. Their defense year over year, last year 120th, this year 27th, forcing way more turnovers, protecting the boards a lot better. Rim protection is way up. I mean, I think I would argue that, this conference standings might not bear this out, but I do think that they're the best team in the Mountain West out of a really freaking good conference, that is. I mean, that's a conference that's at minimum probably going to get 5 teams in the field. And they're just like, they're very tight. They know what they want to do. They're straight. They're like, it's a weird deal of they play super fast, but they don't really attack the rim all that much. They are just extremely good in the mid range. Which makes them like uniquely hard to guard for 2024 because every team wants to give those shots up because you're like in your head, everybody's more analytically focused now, correctly so, I would say. In your head, you're like, okay, mid range jumper, that's fine. I'm willing to give that up over a 3 or a layup. But New Mexico hits those so well, it's bad. Like you don't want it's antithetical to what you want to do. You would much rather give up a 3. You don't want to allow them to the 15-foot range. And they're a uniquely tough team to prep for in that regard. Plays very fast. And I got to say, for somebody who's really down on his Minnesota work, Rick Jr. is pretty darn good. This is a really well-assembled roster. He's recruiting well. They've got their own unique, identifiable style. I look forward to where they go from here. Like, I don't know how it works in March, and it certainly sucks that their 3 best players are all going to graduate this year. But they've got like a good base there to build off of going forward. And Pitino has nailed the portal move so far. So, yeah, I mean, if you haven't had a chance to watch this team, I'm going to be honest, this week probably isn't the best because they play at Wyoming and home against UNLV. But pencil in these 2 dates on your calendar. February 13th, day before Valentine's Day. Also the day before Ash Wednesday, I found out.
Okay.
Playing at Nevada. Very tough place to play. But the real winner here, the Mountain West game of the year, in my opinion, Friday, February 16th, New Mexico at San Diego State. That is a banger. Standalone game that night on Fox Sports 1, by the way.
Okay. I like it. Do you think Pitino's like maybe that's where USC should go? Who sit at 8-12 right now. Pitino might not be a bad USC fit.
Pitino wouldn't be a bad USC fit. There's been like a funny bit on Twitter of like people wanting to run the Pitino era back at Louisville with Rick Jr., which I think it will never happen, but it would be very funny. But the interesting thing with him, he's got the Southwest experience, but a vast majority of it's in the Southeast and Northeast. You start thinking about jobs that may or may not open there, and I can't immediately think of one that would be super attractive to him. But at the same time,
I can see West Virginia for him.
West Virginia is a possibility. Ohio State is a possibility.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. He's a great motivator, smart guy. It's not going to be DePaul. I know that much.
No.
He's above the DePaul range, but like Boston person, Providence alum, a lot of Northeast experience, Louisville, obviously. He'll bounce somewhere, but if I were him, and I know this is not how coaches think, but if I'm him, stick around at New Mexico. That's a historically very good basketball school.
Yeah.
I mean, Do they have a ton of deep tournament runs? No, but like in my lifetime, I'm just looking here on Wikipedia, they've made the NCAA tournament 11 times. That's great for a school in a non-Big Six league. That's real history. You have an awesome arena that gets filled pretty well, has its own weird name, the Pit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would stay there as long as they'll have you, or until like a UCLA level job were to open up.
And who knows on that front?
Who knows?
Bad news or good news, Will? Is Duke back officially?
It's always bad news. It's always bad news. So the funny thing, because I saw this in our little outline, I wanted to get this.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.